fall is an unbeatable season. The weather cools down and everyone could enjoy without all the bugs and sweat. Autumn is also the time for fruit picking. Apples, berries, my favorite pears. It is the time when countless horror movies are released. But the remaining warmth constantly reminds us of the cold to come. The first thought that came to me was to go to Dion's coffee shop. Hopefully, they would be preparing new autumn drinks. The doors swing open and colors of hue could be seen everywhere. Stepping on crunchy brown leaves, I danced my way to the shop. I and my sister were street dancers, it lit us up better than any lamp. I could see small squirrels and badgers bouncing out from the pile of leaves. I could see people wrapped up in sweaters, scarves and woolies. No, I could finally see my favorite coffee shop. White cups, black coffee, jugs filled with cream. So many tables, so little room. That was the beauty of a coffee shop. You could always feel the ambience of friendly chatter. But when I entered the shop today, I could not believe my eyes. Pumpkin pie latte. I shouted that half of the shop went quiet. Yes, Tara, said the waitress in a friendly voice. Where were they last year? I asked. We could not find the right supply last time, but you were begging to bring it in, so here it is. I smiled broadly as she led me to the counter. Sipping my coffee, I could see the new line of drinks. Fall cinnamon pumpkin blend, salted caramel latte, peppermint mocha, spiced Mexican hot chocolate, white spiced coffee, and cinnamon tequila sour. I knew there were a lot of days left for me to try all of them, but I could not help but drink the spiced hot chocolate. Where do you get these drinks? I asked the waitress Mia. She cast me a suspicious look. I mean, I have never seen these combinations and flavors before, I said. These combinations and flavors come from the world of coffee where? Wait, what? Come, let me show you, said Mia. Mia led me to the back of the counter. When no one was looking, she opened the lid of a garbage can and jumped inside. My jaw dropped, I could not believe my eyes. Come in, she said. Come in. I am not jumping in a garbage can, I said, looking at her profile in the darkness. Maybe she was crazy or something, and I was not going to do that. But out of nowhere she seized my arm and pulled me in. It was like falling through an infinite pipe. My head was spinning, and I could not see but I sure it was her voice that was telling me not to pass out. I fell with a sickening thud. The ground was white and it felt like there were 1,000 bugs under me. I stood up quickly because the thought of bugs scared me. I looked around, was thunderstruck by what I was seeing. There were countless waterfalls in front of me, each a different color. They were flowing upwards. I was so amazed to see that instead of grass or dirt there was salt and sugar. Instead of green leaves there were caramel leaves. And the trunks were made out of cream. The birds looked as if they were carved out of pumpkins. Their tiny eyes were made out of mint. I was in a state of wild excitement. Spotting Mia, I ran frantically towards her. So this is where we get all the coffee, said Mia. Where? The waterfalls, of course, they are coffee. We reached an old-looking cottage. It crouched low in salt and sugar. The white roof was misshapen and the walls were made out of chocolate blocks. But it looked so old and poor that I could hardly believe it was standing. The door creaked open and an old man was standing in front of us. He looked feeble and was walking with a cane. Mia, he said. It felt as though he had not spoken for centuries. Then he turned his gaze to me. She is a friend, said Mia. I want to show her your factory. But she must not tell anyone, he said in his weak voice. She won't, said Mia, looking at me. I nodded. It was well constructed from the inside. But the old man warned us of sudden changes. The shelves, windows and doors changed their places with a bang. Jars and books would levitate across the room. Several broken clocks hung there. The floor was being cleaned by invisible arms. The knives were cutting bread and meat. Old-fashioned weighing scales were continuously moving. Welcome to the factory, Mia added dramatically. I turned around and saw bright white coffee cups moving on a counter where a small brush was painting them. It was as if they were dancing while the coffee was aimed right into them. I could see a small mouse taking sips from every cup. It's getting close to midnight, we should go back, said Mia. Yeah, you should, said the old man. This place will be a deathbed at night. Deathbed? I repeated, startled. Come Tara, we should hurry. Clutching the hand of Mia tightly, we ran towards the passage. I had no idea how we were going to climb up the passageway. But something else caught my attention. The pumpkin-carved animals were breaking down into little pieces when under the moonlight. The cream trunks of the trees were melting and the ground started to swallow the caramel leaves. The waterfalls froze and hooded creatures came flying out of nowhere. The old man was right, this was a nightmare. At the count of 3, we are going jump in the river, said Mia. In the river, how will we? No time, Tara. 1, 2, 3. The water closed around me, I held my breath as long as I could. The cold water pushed me down, I was trying to swim back, but Mia caught my hand and pulled me in. She opened something that looked like a door and once again pushed me.